So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here wherever you are on whatever platform that you're joining us on, whether you're live with us here on Zoom or on YouTube or Facebook or Roku or Amazon or Apple TV, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us. We are tonight excited, but welcome to Cosmic Conversations, and I am your host, Sheila Seppi, and I'm the founder of the Galactic Alliance. And as I said, we are very excited. I want to share with you our speaker in just a moment, but before I do, I just want to remind everyone that on Saturday, January the 21st at 10 a.m., you can join Soul Vibes with Jenny G live on any of our platforms, including the website and our phone apps. But you can also join the Zoom link. Now, if you have not received this promotional flyer, let us know. Drop me a line, sheilaseppi.com, and let me know so I can get you on the mailing list, because Jenny, and she is going to come on, give us kind of an overview of what she sees for 2023 and answer people's questions live. So please join us. And then also on January the 28th and 29th, we have our annual January fundraiser for the Galactic Alliance in partnership with the Portal to Ascension and New Realities. We have the Ancient Galactic Wisdom, and we are excited for that. So we have Hope Fitzgerald, Debbie Solaris, Victoria Reynolds, of course, Vivian, who I'm going to bring up in just a moment, Don Hudnall. We have Chris Grissom, Nicholas David Newen. We have Phil Gruber, Maya Cristobal, Vanderloos, Celestial Al, myself and Alan and Neil. We also have Craig Cambodas, Rochelle Stevenson, and Jody Sirota. And Jody will be opening. She's going to make a presentation, but she'll also be opening and closing with some of her beautiful prayer work that she does. But right now, I want to go ahead and bring my co-host up for the month, Vivian Chevet. Vivian, thank you so much for being here. Always love having you.
Always a joy to be with you, Sheila, and everyone. And I am thrilled for our beautiful guest tonight who have had a chance to meet. We were able to meet at the Manchester Summer Conference last year. And this is why we're looking for guests. I'm like, we need to bring this gentleman on. It's going to be amazing.
Well, awesome. Well, I can't wait, because I think he's just going to rock our world tonight. So before we bring him up, let me tell you just a little bit about Isaac Mars. So if you have never heard of Isaac, you are in for a treat, because as one of the first theoretical physicists in human history to publicly propose a simple theory of everything that demystifies the concept of time, dark matter, dark energy, and consciousness, Isaac is shattering obsolete paradigms with his new book, Unity Theory. So I can't wait to hear about that. By applying the knowledge of this cutting edge physics to our individual lives, Isaac proclaims that our human family will inevitably rediscover the truth of our origins and how to achieve our greatest potential. From self-empowerment to accessing superhuman abilities, anything that we imagine is made scientifically possible through the universal truth of unity. We currently reside in a reality of ancient prophecy made manifest in modern times. For millennia, our human family has separated itself through ego consciousness and the illusion of the matrix. And for the first period in human history, science has finally caught up to spirituality through the miraculous findings described in Unity Theory. With such cutting-edge physics, Isaac is reuniting the Starseed Souls and the Rainbow Tribe from the ancient prophecies, the Hopi Prophecies. And when I read that, I just got goosebumps, because Isaac, I'm a walk-in, and when I walked in, my first spiritual teacher is of Hopi lineage, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring you up. So it was really the Hopi indigenous teachings that helped to anchor me and helped me to really integrate into this human reality. And when I was reading everything you had to offer, I'm like, whew, he is singing my song. So I am so excited. Thank you so much, Vivian, for bringing Isaac on. Do you have a few words that you want to say before we turn it over to Isaac?
Well, Sheila, I love that you have this beautiful Native American connections, because I too, on 3 occasions, I was personally invited to go to the Hopi reservation right in the first and second mesa, where I witnessed the Kachina dance. And I was sitting right on top where the kivas, when the dancer come out and come and dance on the square. And what was really interesting is to see the dancer come, and he was stopped in front of me looking like they could, almost like they could see, and then they will continue. And I was, because my team was with me, so a Kachina dance in honor to the star lineage and their star brothers and sisters, and having a hybrid with her team sitting there watching them. It was phenomenal. But Isaac, thank you so much for being here, because I remember when we met in Shasta, I remember what your group connected, what I saw in your field that day. And of course, on Cosmic Conversations, when Sheila invited me to be your co-host, I said, we have to bring Isaac. It's going to be amazing. So thank you.
Well, wonderful. And thank you, Vivian, for doing so. And Isaac, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sheila and Vivian. This is such an honor and a pleasure. And to see you walking in your truth, in your unity consciousness with the rest of this beautiful experience that we're all entangled with, it's really inspiring. What I'm going to talk about today is all about the ancient prophecies. And some people watching this might wonder, well, why are we going to talk about old things? Why not new things? And the reason I'm going to talk about this today is because what I discovered in my book, Unity Theory, once I was getting these downloads in around January of 2021, I realized that prophecy is actually the anchor points for this timeline, or this set of infinite timelines. And what unity theory proposes, and has no counter argument to, is that in order for us to experience perceived linear time, and for it to happen all at once, which is what quantum physics reports in mainstream science, and for us to have free will, there has to be infinite timelines. And since there are infinite timelines, what do we do to manifest our reality, to experience a certain timeline? We emit vibrations. This is why Nikola Tesla said everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. If you want to know the secrets to the universe, then follow those 3 main keys. So when we talk about something, when we think about something, we are emitting a vibration. And that vibration is what echoes out into the universe and reverberates back to us through the 12 universal laws, this law being the law of attraction and the law of correspondence, which is what we think creates our reality. So when we're constantly reading things like the Book of Revelation, or learning about the Hopi Prophecy and the Mayan prophecy, and we're seeing that really they're not different prophecies, they're all regarding the same process that's unfolding for all of mankind, but they're just different angles, different viewpoints and perspectives. And when we realize that there is a clear pattern that is being manifested right before our eyes. And if we can follow the patterns, knowing that reality is patterns within patterns within patterns, then we can see the fabric of reality as if looking on the backside of a tapestry. We can see all the inner workings, how things connect to each other. But when we, look at the front side of the tapestry, we just see this big picture. And sometimes if we're not thinking in these more pattern recognition ways of thinking, we can't see what's going on. But, the truth is, that's not such a bad thing. Not everybody needs to be like me and to see through every single illusion or every single pattern that presents itself. Sometimes the best thing for us is to not know what we're getting into, because as we step forward We realize every single moment is inevitable. It's a constant rate of transformation that is consistent and doesn't seem to stop anytime soon. So we might as well walk forward in full faith with our intuition as our guide. So in regard to the Hopi prophecy, which I want to talk about today, I want to talk about the Rainbow Tribe, who the Rainbow Tribe is, what is happening right now for the Rainbow Tribe, and what the next steps are for all of us that are part of this. And to know this, I think it's kind of important that we drop into the Hopi prophecy just a little bit. I'm not going to go into every single detail. I'm not a specialist, I would say, on the Hopi prophecy in particular, but I will bring up some relevant points. So one interesting thing about the Hopi prophecy is that nobody knows how old it truly is. It's been passed down from generation to generation within the Hopi tribe. And from what I've understood, they only share this orally and through the one depiction on what is known as Prophecy Rock. If you pay attention to Greg Braden and his content, you may have seen that he actually was invited onto the Hopi land, and he was invited to interpret Prophecy Rock. And they said that he did a fantastic job, which I believe he did as well. And basically what it shows is it shows two paths for mankind. And on one path, you see mankind veering off from one trajectory that we have been on in our linear history. And then you see one set of peoples go up and go towards this more enlightened way of living, working with the earth, farming, working with nature. And then on the other path, you see some dystopian images. And what I really remember specifically is on that path, those figures that represent the people, they do not have heads. And the way that I interpret that is that path is the mindless path. It is the path in which we give our mind away. So that's why it would seem to be that way in the pictogram or pictograph that they drew on that rock. So as we move forward, the important thing for us as light workers, starseeds, spiritualists, and people that are just simply awakening is to know, well, how do we get to the higher path, the path of love and unity? How do we stay away from things where we become victimized or we become a conditioned slave in this matrix of society? And to me, the importance is very simple.
Oh, it's like Katie.
What was that? Anyway, so as we learn that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, and we know what feels good and what doesn't feel good, it's very simple. We do what basically any animal in the animal kingdom would do. We follow the high vibration. If an animal needs some food, it can sniff it out. And in their experience, that food is a very rewarding high vibration experience for that animal mind. And for us, it's more complex, more complicated, but it's still the same thing because we're all on the spiral path. We're all revisiting old lessons in new ways with higher levels of awareness. Excuse me. It's been a long day. The energies have been pretty intense since the Wolf Cancer moon, so bear with me tonight. So if we know that everything's frequency, then it's simple. Do we want to go up or do we want to go down? If we go down, what does that look like? Well, that looks like fear. What is fear? To me, fear is conditional love. It is when we say, I'll love you if ... And that is why we end up in these scary situations that seem very scary, but at the nature of reality, at the core of what is happening, it's practically a delusion. Because in this reality, every single piece is the entire reality. As Rumi said, we are not a drop in the ocean, we are the ocean in a drop. And the simple way that you can integrate this into your awareness is by simply realizing that everything around you, including your own body, only exists within the perception of your mind. We believe it's real, therefore it is. And sometimes people may feel a little bit weird about that, but at the end of the day, even if it's not quote unquote real as the way we've been taught and conditioned to think, Is it so bad? Why not live in a beautiful experience knowing that we cannot be victims unless we choose to be? Because if we are all the universe, that means we are all one being. And what we're experiencing in this timeline is imagination itself, meaning that there are no limits, there are no reasons to fear anything, and we can achieve our dreams and our goals and reach our greatest heights of bliss and expression within this beautiful experience of life. So, in regard to the Hopi Prophecy, who are the Rainbow Children, the Rainbow Tribe, aka the Rainbow Warriors? Chances are, and I want to be clear, in regard to anything that I say in any of my talks, I respect your free will. So only take what resonates and disregard what doesn't. But for me, there is a Rainbow Tribe and there are Rainbow Warriors. There are both, because everything's patterns within patterns within patterns. And to me, the Rainbow Tribe are the starseeds of Earth. We are the galactic ones, the ones that came here from star nations specifically to help uplift the consciousness of humanity. And within those rainbow tribesmen and women are the Rainbow Warriors. If you are a little bit like me, ever since you were a kid, you may have had this strong urge or strong resonance to help people or to feel inspired by watching others help people. For example, when I was 3 or 4 years old, I started watching the TV show Dragon Ball. And the main character, Goku, just lit my heart up. I knew I'm that. That is what I'm here to do. And I want to reiterate that in this holodynamic universe, we all get what we choose. And typically what we choose is what we think we deserve. So as we transform and transmute old paradigms, old programs that have kept us in limitation, we realize that it's possible to become superhuman, to transform our 2-strand DNA into 12-strand DNA, knowing that we can shift our consciousness, our awareness to higher frequency octaves, creating brand new, incredible experiences that are nothing like we've experienced on this planet, reconnecting with our galactic family, and knowing that all of this is right around the corner. I mean, we are living in exciting times. This is the time when technology becomes limited only by our imagination. Nikola Tesla said it himself. He said, the day that science begins to study the non-physical, we will make more progress in 1 decade than we have made in the entirety of humanity's existence. So we're on the cusp of this. And this is exciting because unity theory is the very thing that is explaining this is how it works. And it's really not that difficult to understand. It's simply vibration. So if there are more than one vibration, then those vibrations are added up and divided, which creates the collective vibration, the average vibration. That's the reality we experience. That's the way we can shift timelines as a collective. Because, for example, at one certain point in my linear past, I knew Nelson Mandela had passed away in prison. I was told that even as a little kid. For some reason, it was like part of my history class or something. And now we're living in a timeline where he passed away in 2013. Now that's a drastic shift, which means that at the collective level, we all decided to shift onto this timeline because we knew that it would be more beneficial for our evolution, for our experience, and for our growth as a unified being. So to all the Rainbow Warriors out there, if you've identified with a character such as Hercules or, you know, any main hero, Superman, Batman, you may be a Rainbow Warrior. And in this exciting reality, the climax of mankind's history, we are going to be able to fly. We are going to be able to teleport, bilocate, trilocate, walk through walls. Anything that we can imagine will become fair game. And those that are the most unconditionally loving will be the most well-equipped. And the only way that someone could ever, let's say, lose in a situation in which they are trying to help someone that may be in danger is if they created the conditions for themselves out of fear, or if they didn't have the imagination to outmaneuver whatever arises in the future. And I want to be clear by not being clear here. And what I mean by that is that every single person gets their own roller coaster ride. In my reality, I know that I came here to help to basically fight a spiritual war. Now, I know that can be very triggering for people, but hear me out. We all get our own roller coasters, meaning that if you don't want to be a part of the epic battle, then you don't have to be. You can be a part of the New Earth communities where we will have those rainbow warriors there defending and protecting those communities. And you never need to expose yourself to this vibration. But after some interesting conversations with some like-minded individuals that are similar to myself, we realized that you can unconditionally love anything. And in my experience, I have an unconditionally loving approach to standing up for what's right, what I believe to be moral and just, and not to put myself above anybody else, but to just be everyone's shield when I can be. So this is a very exciting time, because everybody that is like me, that has had these fantasies that ever since we were kids, we know they're not fantasies anymore. They were urges, they were feelings, they were vibrations we were carrying to remind ourselves of our true power. So that's a little bit about the Rainbow Warriors. And then the rest of the Rainbow Tribe, it's just going to be so beautiful. And when I say this, I mean, we're looking at, in the next few years to maybe 5 years or so, all the major cities that are extremely spiritual right now, like Sedona and Mount Shasta, California, and maybe even some parts of Hawaii, it's going to be so different from what we're experiencing now. It's going to not even look like the same reality. And that's because we are on the cusp of reuniting. This is the year. This is the clarion call. Every single rainbow warrior, every single rainbow prophecy starseed is being activated at this very moment so that we can all reconverge. And it's a very exciting and emotional time, because there are so many of you out there that I miss so very deeply. And for example, reconnecting, it activates us so profoundly. When I reconnected with Vivian in this life, I didn't even know how to respond. I was just so in the moment and in awe at her presence and her energy. And what she shared with me empowered me to step further into my goal, into my path. So I have her to thank. I have all of you to thank, those I haven't even met yet in this life. You are all helping me, and I am helping you. Why? Because we are all quantumly interconnected. Every single time you integrate an aspect of your shadow and you accept it and you love it and you forgive it and know that it is not a bad thing, it just is a part of you, you are empowering your brothers and sisters. The more we talk about this, the more that we make this mainstream and mainstream society, the better it all works, because vibration works exponentially. In fact, I don't even know how to phrase this in English, but it's even more than exponential, because what the law of perpetual transmutation of energy states in the 12 universal laws is that any higher vibration is innately more powerful than a low vibration, which is why, in regard to certain scientists, like I believe it was David Hawkins who created the consciousness scale, scientists like that have explained that it's only going to take a very small, minute percentage of the population with a very refined high vibration consciousness to create massive shifts across the entire planet. In fact, I've even heard some scientists and philosophers in regard to the spiritual community say that there are beings that are walking this planet that are so high vibrational that if they weren't here, we would be in a different reality completely. And I see those beings. They are arriving on the scene. They are stepping forward from behind the curtains and entering onto the main stage. I mean, this is the most exciting time in all of human history. So for the starseeds, light workers, and spiritualists out there that feel some energy of stagnation or not being fully certain about what to do, know that you can rest easy. Unity Theory will help you. It is a 77-page book that explains the nature of reality, and it brings it down to layman's terms. I followed what they call Occam's razor, which means usually the simplest answers are the best ones or the most correct. So when we implement these simple ideas into our life, we end up following unconditional love as our guide. But in order for it to work out as streamlined as possible and for our greatest good, we must first love ourselves unconditionally, and then everything and everyone else as if it is us, because it is. It's the only way that reality could work. And I can't even imagine a universe where things were quote unquote physical. Based on the physics in my book, it wouldn't even make sense. So this is a very, very exciting time. And yeah, I'm feeling a little pause in the energy, and I'd like to invite Sheila or Vivian to ask a question or whatever you like.
Absolutely. So Isaac, where can people purchase your book if they would like to have that?
Sure. So my book is available for free or love donation on my website, thecrimsoneagle.com. That is THE, crimson like the color, eagle like the bird.com. And if you would like physical copies, all you need to do is reach out to me. I do bulk. I typically sell those for $22 donations. And I also have holodynamics books for my close friend and colleague, Victor Vernon Wolf. He was instrumental in keeping the peace between Russia and the United States during the Cold War in the early 90s. Excuse me. And these books are extremely helpful in helping starseeds on their path, learning how we are disempowering ourselves still through old programs. And one major thing that I would like to share here regarding my book and regarding my path is this new energy that I'm stepping into. And this has to do with the astrology that we're experiencing right now. There is currently a shift, I believe, of the collective's north node. And as if I can remember correctly, it's shifting into Aries. Well, Aries in mythology is the god of war, and it's also another name for Mars. So I'm stepping into this new Aries Mars energy, and I'm feeling more open and more expressive about what I need from my brothers and sisters. And so this is my request out to all of you. I don't need money. I don't even need for you to, try and help me in my physical reality. The only thing that I need from you right now is to talk about this book. I don't want you to talk about it for me. It's not to make me seem cool. It's not to make me seem this big personality. This is for you. This is for your brothers and sisters. This is so that we can all remember who we are, and we can finally use the scientific, practical information to take steps to get there. Now, how you want to do that, that's totally up to you. If you want to have an interview with me, feel free. It doesn't matter how small your YouTube channel is or your following is. If you want to make memes about me, feel free to do that and post them wherever you'd like. But the thing is, we need to get this information out there, because if we don't do this, if we don't unify in this way and work together, then what we're doing is we're basically allowing the agenda to suppress this information. For those of you who don't know my full story or who are just coming across me right here and now, right after my awakening and my download of Unity Theory, the first person I decided that I needed to talk to in order to help change the world in the most profound, rapid way possible was Elon Musk. Now, I know not everybody resonates with Elon Musk, but I feel that he is a starseed that is here to turn from the darkness to the light. And I'm going to hold that vibration and that frequency as adamant as I can. And in my experience, I went to try and talk to him in Austin, Texas at the Texas Gigafactory. And there are plenty of videos about what happened to me there. But the primary thing after everything happened, and after I explained this to a physician assistant friend of mine, it became very clear. There was an attempt on my life in jail as I went through that experience, as I tried to create a connection with one of the most powerful men and companies in the world. So clearly, they are trying to suppress this information. Thankfully, I stayed in my heart and in my faith throughout all those experiences, and I went through a profound healing. And then on the 10th day of being in jail, I was miraculously released, as if I was protected. And ever since then, I've been walking as if I am protected, and I am. And this is the reason why people like David Icke can get away with saying things that they say. This is why I can get away with saying things that I say now, because I know that I am protected. And based on the law of correspondence, what we think creates our reality. We are unconditionally supported by the universe. And in my recent lessons of this beautiful experience called life, I've realized that if you integrate your shadow as completely and unconditionally lovingly as you can, even the darkness will help you. Do you hear me? The darkness will literally turn against its own kind to help you. And I've seen it happen. And the moment that I had this thought, I was watching a TV show, and the next episode, the main character and his cohort that were traveling together sacrificed their ideals and their beliefs so that they could get across an ocean by the passage of a human trafficker. And they didn't like it, but they needed to do it in order to get where they needed to get. And then later on, they were able to confront this person. But the point is that the universe was willing to reflect that back to me, which to me is confirmation. And since then, I've afforded myself an even larger pool of unconditional love and compassion for these beings that are stuck in these low vibrations, that are stuck in old, negative, repetitive cycles. And when I think about the way reality works and how we are multidimensional beings, and we're basically little Russian dolls, it's interesting to think that, you know, between the most high vibration individual and the most low vibrational individual in existence, who would be the most unconditionally loving in our human story? Well, we could say it's the high vibration individual because they're here to help us. But what about what the low vibrational individual is actually going through? They know at the higher dimensional level that they are just like us in the light. And that's where we come from. So in order to play that low vibrational role, they need to, quote unquote, jump on a grenade for all of us. And by taking that role upon themselves, they are going through the most hardest, the most difficult experience. And they're doing that to show us our potential. They're doing that to hold the darkness so that we can be the light. We cannot have one without the other. That's the yin and the yang. So when we implement this into our reality, this is when we can look at our greatest transgressors with unconditional love and compassion. And in every experience that I've done that since my awakening, I've only been rewarded and supported by the universe. So there is a lot to sift through right there. But again, we're just living in exciting times. I know that was a very long answer to your question, Sheila.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I put in the chat earlier to Vivian. It says, you know, I just feel like clapping. Woohoo! All right. Right on. Great job. I'm so excited, and so excited that you're out, you know, sharing the message, which is what so many people are really here to do, to help forge, you know, these pathways. And you're doing it with such passion. I absolutely love it. Now, when did you say your awakening was?
My awakening was in January of 2021.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and on Vivian's show, actually, Infinite Star Connections, our friend Jeff had some interesting contact with ET Star Nation that I'm not totally familiar with, but he said, or he said that they had explained to them that the reason I got that activation and the downloads that led to that profound awakening in January was because of the earlier astrological portal that opened up on this winter solstice of 2020. And during that day, on December 21st, all of my electronics went just bonkers. Nothing was working correctly. I thought I was being hacked by somebody, and I honestly so confused. But ever since then, it's just been this huge snowball roller coaster of, I don't know, a life that seems like a movie. And the interesting thing is we can all access that. We can all tap into that magic. All we need to do is follow our hearts.
Absolutely. And so once you receive the download, is that the information that you put into the book that you wrote?
Yes. So I received the download, and I had to go through a big fear purge because I realized that they kill people for information like this. And I didn't want to experience that. But in my excitement, I knew that I had to follow my heart, my intuition, no matter where it led. So I didn't write the book right away. It wasn't until after I went through all of my fear purging and realizing that the universe is a mirror. So I might as well take the path of least resistance and the path of unconditional love. And then that's when the synchronicity started coming to me. I met people that had connections to Elon Musk. I met physicists that said I should write a book, and I started to get that synchronicity over and over again. So I said, okay, all right, this is what I'm here to do. I guess I'm meant to be a writer in some facet. Originally, the reason that I had come up with unity theory in the first place is that I was writing a science fiction novel to try and guide the way that we think in society to a more high vibration energy. But I realized, maybe that's not for me. Maybe I am here to be a scientist. Maybe I am here to be, I guess, sort of this frontline person. I don't know. But it's very exciting.
Beautiful, beautiful. Would you take some questions from the individuals that are here tonight with us?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite things to do, actually.
Okay. All right. So if anyone has a question, just go ahead and unmute and feel free to ask it. Little Willow here is all excited. The energy is raising and he feels it. And Vivian's met, and Mary has met Willow, and he's quite a little spirit helper. So he experiences the energy too. So anyone have a question that they would like to ask at this point?
I would like to invite any sort of question. It could be something you're going through. It could be something regarding the prophecies. Anything is fair game. And if I can't answer it, I will be honest. And if not, go ahead, Vivian.
If not, what?
Well, I was just going to say, I could just start talking and see what comes through, but I feel a sort of tension from the audience as if they want to say something. So I'm calling that forward.
I'll say something. Thank you for just brightening up all of our lives. You are really beautiful and spread such love and light. Thank you so much. I remember hearing you at Mount Shasta. You were really something. We want to inspire our children. So as the leaders like you, younger people, to ignite the voice of the future, how more can we help them? We are doing more books, more education for them. How do you think we can, what are some tools or skills that we can, other than being role models, but how do you think we can inspire them?
I think the best way to inspire them is to allow them to inspire us. And what I mean by that is to really take a step back, because I know a lot of us, especially those that are parents and that have walked this planet longer than I have, there are still some very sneaky programs that can come into the forefront of our minds, especially in regard to parenting. Because I'm not a parent, but I am an uncle, and I did live with my nephew for quite a while. And I remember it was not easy for me to navigate that energy at all. So I know that it can feel overwhelming at times, but the biggest thing is to realize that those children are the most profound teachers that we could have. It's often better than even a romantic relationship. And those are some of the most catalyzing experiences that can lead to our growth. So when it comes to children, I've realized that it really is it's about taking a step back and allowing them to see their own conclusions. Because when we try to guide them too much, then we start to create a program for them unconsciously. And that program can be, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, so I have to be told by somebody else. And that may not seem that bad at first, but over many years, especially between ages 0 to 7, where they're the most receptive to programming mentally, it's very important to take that into consideration. And to know that if there are certain things that resonate with our children, if it is, for example, I know children out there that have dreams where they're out there killing zombies. And these are regular dreams for this child. And for me, if I were to say, no, you can't do that, that's bad, then what am I doing? I'm creating some program that I don't even fully know is how it's going to affect that child. And I would just lead by my example. If they are doing that in their dream, I may say, well, okay, well, that's your dream. But in my experience, I'm not going to do that. And it's trusting, fully trusting that beingness within ourself will be the thing that entrains them to the higher vibration. Because the old way is thinking, oh God, what if I screw up as a parent? What if I say the wrong thing, or I expose them to the wrong TV show or video games, and then they're going to become this horrible child? That's all projection. It's all our own fears projected onto the child. And then what happens? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's what we see in family dynamics. What is karma? There is no tally system. No, there is no karma in the sense that, like, oh, I did this thing, now I have to go through that because that's the rule. It's not a rule, it's just energy. It is the momentum of energy in the eternal now. So if I'm carrying a momentum of being quick to anger, and I don't transform that energy and I stay unconscious of it, then that is going to be passed on to my children and then on to their children. And this is what ancestral DNA is. This is what we're talking about when we say that. So when we're transforming ancestral karma, all it is a set of patterns, belief systems, and ways of being that have been passed along generation after generation by example. So the short answer to your question is to be yourself without being them, without forcing your beingness onto them. And in so doing, we can see, oh my gosh, my child keeps, trying to be impatient with things. What are they teaching me here? Maybe they're teaching me how to be patient by expressing that themselves. And when we see that, it's like they are source incarnate. They are pure. They are divine. And I am so excited for the children coming in right now, because from what I can tell, their DNA is already activated at a higher level. And they are so tapped in that, for example, I said hello to my close sister's son, and he was wearing an Avengers shirt. And on the shirt, it had Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. And I bent down, I said, hey, that's an awesome shirt. What's your favorite Avenger? And he silently smiles and he points to Thor. And then, or no, it's to Iron Man, sorry. And then I asked him, who do you think my favorite hero is? And he points to Captain America. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he was right. So that is what we're seeing. That's the level of psychic proficiency that is already on the planet within these little ones. So it's an exciting time for that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. See, Vivian, you had a question that you wanted to ask?
It already eluded my mind. I was so engaged into listening to the starseed and the children. Well, speaking of which, because the thing is that the other thing that distracts me when I listen to you, Isaac, is because I see a console behind you, and I see your other part of yourself and what you do there and then what you say here. So I'm like, I'm following both aspects of you at the same time. And I know we talked about it when we met at Shasta the first time. It's there with you all the time. It's wonderful. About the children, there's many categories of children we bring, whether it's the crystalline children, the rainbow children, the diamond light. I don't even know all the category. What are your thoughts about that? The generation of rainbow or crystal or indigo and all of this. What you thought of that? I'm curious.
Well, they are patterns within patterns. So they are definitely meaningful designations, I would say. In regard to exactly what each one is, I don't have necessarily a perspective that I would feel would be very illuminating on that. But what I do know is that this level of light that they're carrying, they are going to be, like I said, the ones teaching us, and not just teaching us how to be high vibration, but teaching us how to use those superpowers. And when you look at, for example, the entire phenomena of anime, which is Japanese cartoons, they're not actually tailored only to children. Most of them actually are tailored to adults and young adults. So in many, many of these shows, the main protagonists are extremely young. I mean, we're talking anywhere from 8 years old to 14 years old being the average age for the main protagonists. So what I'm seeing are children being able to do things that are unbelievable. And from what I've heard from certain rumors, I have not seen the video footage, but I've heard rumors about footage that was released on the dark web of this Chinese girl that was able to go into a full auditorium and wave her hand just like that with a smile, and everybody in the auditorium is holding a single unbloomed rose. And with the single wave of her hand, all of the roses immediately blossom. And I heard that the government tried to see what they could do to learn about this ability and get her to do it on command. And every time they tried, it would not work because she would be in a fear state. So they are showing us these rainbow children, the crystal children, the indigo children. And to me, it's almost as if we're from different divisions within the Galactic Alliance. Many of us, if not most of us that are starseeds here, we are living on this planet with this 3D projection with our 5-dimensional self still coexisting right alongside us, but in a higher dimension. In fact, in my experience on Mount Shasta with my friend Nathan Lindsay, when we had our profound ET contact experience together, I was convinced that this red ship that I saw in the sky shoot across the sky was me at a higher level interacting with me at this level. And when we realized that, then maybe it's indigo division, maybe it's the crystalline division, and these are different divisions within the Galactic Alliance that is up there holding space for us down here in this 3D experience. And that makes the most sense to me, because ever since I was young, I felt this belonging to something bigger than myself. And I thought that that could be the military when I was young. And for those of you that don't know this, I was a medic in the Army for almost 7 years. And I quickly learned in the military shortly after joining that it was not for me, simply because of the outdated draconian ways of doing things. And I say that with pun intended. And so, yeah, it feels like this organization that I'm really a part of is the Alliance. And this Alliance, like Sheila Seppi is doing, anchoring that vibration into this reality, is the ground team. It's everybody here on this Zoom call, everybody here watching this. We are the ground team. We are the Galactic Alliance. We are the captains, the commanders, the starship pilots. That is our truth. And it's so exciting because it's something out of a science fiction movie or novel. And that just lights me up, because I knew there was a reason that I resonated with that ever since I was a little kid.
Beautiful. And it resonates with me on multiple levels. And that's also for me interweave self-disclosure, that we are rediscovering aspect of our own interdimensionality, our own divinity, our own galactic connections. When you said the red ship is an aspect of me coming and connecting with ourselves. So that is completely in resonance with what we need to focus on. It's no longer about, hey, what does a ship look like to you? And then describe the craft, what ship do the Octurian use, or the Pleiadian? And we said,
Right.
It's just not about the shape of the craft. It's about connecting with the consciousness and who you're interacting with. And is it an aspect of you on your own self, mirroring that back to you so you can remember and activate those connectors within you. So this is absolutely beautifully said. Thank you, Isaac.
I was just going to say, you said that eloquently. I mean, it's about the connection. It's about that moment that's shared in the heart. And when I first connected with a ship, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is real. And my heart just exploded open. And ever since then, nightly, I connect with them up in the sky. And that's something that I've been hearing has been working for other people. If you want to go experience it, go look outside in the night sky and follow your heart and connect with something that looks like a star. If you haven't seen my ET contact videos, you can search those on YouTube as well. Many of these stars up there are actually our brothers and sisters holding space for us, watching us, protecting us. And if you follow your intuition in your heart to one that is a ship, and you connect with it, and you ask it to move for you out of unconditional love with no fear, no limitation, no old programming, they will. They want to connect with you. They miss you, and they love you so, so much because they know that you are a reflection of them. So I agree. It is absolutely about the connection. And I would like to invite any more questions from the participants, if there are any at this time. Sheila, do you have anything that you're thinking about?
Oh, I do, but I just want to see if anyone else has a question. Okay. Yes. So, all right. Now, you mentioned that you were in the Army or in the military for 7 years. What type of a paradigm shift was that? I mean, being in the military and then coming back, that's one phase of shifting. And then going from that to where you are now, you must have had quite an opening, if we let's just say it that way.
No, that's a perfect way of saying it. And in regard to what I said earlier about the outdated draconian methods of working together and hierarchy, when I entered the military, I was, for all intents and purposes, a tryhard. I wanted to be the best soldier. I wanted to exceed at everything that I did. And I was at many levels recognized for that. But because of my experience in my childhood and other programs I was not aware of that I was creating from, I didn't quite achieve what I wanted to in that experience. And what I wanted is I wanted to enter this leadership role. I wanted to create a team that was cohesive and that was healthy in terms of teamwork. And what I experienced in there was toxic. It was ego games. I had a sergeant for about 1.5 to 2 years of my life. He would do everything he could to make my life basically a living hell and ask me things that he knew I didn't know the answer to, and just so he could make me look bad in front of other people. And this was something that was pretty regular within that organization. And what I realized getting out of that experience and then going through my awakening was that it wasn't necessarily a drastic shift in my experience. And here's why. I knew I was part of an army. But the thing is I got confused about which army I'm a part of. And when I realized that, I thought this army of light is the army that I'm here to help serve. This is where I can be a leader, where I can lead by my example rather than leading by orders and bossing people around. And in my experience in the military, it was such a profound gift because I realized how not to lead. I realized what causes separation, what causes division, how to disempower people. And that is not anything that I ever want to do, because ever since I was 3 years old, I could remember I just wanted to help people. So if I can empower you, that's what I'm going to do. That's my favorite thing. That's what fulfills me. And since we are all connected, every time I empower somebody else, I empower myself. So I'm actually really thankful for what I went through in my experiences with the human military, because it actually set me up for a lot of success in a lot of different ways. For example, being able to really throw myself and lose myself in that illusion with all those fellow soldiers that I still love to this day. I was able to test my mettle. I was able to see how far I could push myself. And I remember my fellow battle buddies, my comrades, explaining to me if we were ever in war, if we were ever in battle, they would want me to be by their side. They would want me to be their medic. So I could never have learned those lessons and shown myself how capable I am unless I fully committed to that experience. And this is why I want to reiterate that all paths are valid. And that means all of them. We are all one. We are inseparable from the shadow aspects that we observe in this reality. So the longer that we ignore that, the more we hurt ourselves, the more we hurt those that we are interconnected to at the quantum level. So it's pretty unfortunate for the ego to have to grasp and swallow that pill. But the truth is, when we reject the shadow, we perpetuate the shadow. We create more strife for our human family. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty ready for heaven on earth. And I've decided to already live there. And people that aren't ready for that or aren't willing to experience that, it can be very triggering for them. In fact, just by being, we are all going to be triggering our brothers and sisters. And that's okay. The whole trick of it is to know that there is no separation. The truth is the truth of unity. And since we are all one and there are infinite realities, there's nothing to be afraid of. And if there's nothing to be afraid of, then there's essentially nothing to take that seriously. So we can walk forward with a smile and with laughter as much as we need to transform those energies into higher ones. Has anybody in this experience, in the participants or watching this live or on a replay, have you ever gotten into an argument or a fight with somebody? Maybe it even led to physical violence. And did you ever try saying to them in that moment, I love you? Because if you do, you will see some of the most hilarious, some of the most endearing, some of the most heart-opening experiences that you could ever witness as a human being on this planet. Because all anybody wants is love. That's it. And when you say that to someone who is trying to attack you, trying to disempower you, that vibration of those words, of that emotion is so powerful that it cannot not work. And in my experience, it's totally shifted things. I shared it with a close sister of mine recently, and she thought, there's no way that could work. And she tried it one time and she was like, what? That's it? That's all we got to do? And so that's what most of us are going to experience. As this story gets more and more drastic, and as we move more and more into this astrological Pluto and Aquarius energy, both for a brief period in this year and for all of next year, everything's going to become intensified. So we are going to start seeing things like these heroes emerging, and potentially what is the opposite of a hero? Like Batman can't exist without who? The Joker. So we are all going to have these deep expressions of the self. But the thing is to remember that integrating our shadow and walking forward in that unconditional love and showing that love in every possible way is going to lead to our greatest good. Now, some of these beings, in order to carry that dark vibration as we carry this extremely powerful light vibration, they may not be receptive to that. But the thing is, whatever happens, honor it, accept it, because in truth, it is. Nobody did this to you. Nobody is a victim here, and it is a statistical inevitability. The only way that we can experience who we really are is through these infinite timelines, meaning infinitely every story already exists. So why judge it if judging leads to disempowerment? Why get agitated? There's really no point. And in my experience, the more that I laugh, the more that I smile, the more that everything around me does the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just another example of how we're creating our own reality. And, I know one of the things that many people that I know do is really to live in their own little purple bubble. That's what they call it, their own little purple bubble. And I know that, I do the same thing. People will talk about what's going on out there. And I'm like, no, I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. And it's not that I've put my head in the sand. It's just that really doesn't have anything to do with me. And the more I think that we're able to separate ourselves from this 3D reality and anchor into that aspect of who we truly are on a soul level, I mean, even in the chaos, we can have fun with it, And so it'll be interesting to see what this year holds, because I'm getting a lot of, that there's going to be this huge separation, this huge wave that's going to be coming through, where we really see that division that we have talked about from the 3D to the 5D and beyond. And I'm wondering if you're starting to see that as well.
Absolutely. And that ties in with this entire topic tonight about the rainbow prophecy. That is the separation of the two paths. And in other prophecies, like the book of Revelation, that is the separation of the wheat from the chaff. And the thing is, there is nothing wrong with one or the other. It's just two paths, two different expressions of source. Many of us are returning to God, returning to source, returning to the universe and the divine, and many of us are going further and further away from it. And there's nothing wrong with any of those experiences. And yeah, I'm starting to see that in my own reality. We're starting to see AI rise. We're starting to see it become normalized. There's that huge craze with the AI picture generator. And I just really want to bring awareness to those that don't know this about these programs. And I think this is a valid talk to bring up right now, is that one, a lot of the art that's used by those AI generators is stolen, which is not something that feels good to me anyway. And then on top of that, when we adhere to and literally submit to the terms and conditions that those systems use, I really recommend to read the fine print, because in some of those programs, those softwares, it says that we are giving them our likeness. What does that mean? They can use our face for whatever they want. And that's pretty intimidating if you really think about the implications of what that could mean for us, especially those in leadership positions that could be compromised if, let's say, a bunch of people started believing lies about us. So that's important to bring up. And again, more AI, we're seeing a shift into prosthetics and electronic limbs and organs. And the thing is, this is extremely disempowering, because there are secrets of health and wellness out there that show that it is possible to heal anything spiritually. Let me say that again. You can heal anything spiritually. There are stories that have been confirmed of people having miraculous, in the moment healings of giant tumors of cancer. There are people who have regrown their entire hip bones over the course of a few days. That is allegedly completely impossible according to mainstream science and medicine. So taking this full circle, as a veteran, how do you think I feel being an ex-soldier that was told I was going to be part of something bigger, and then potentially if something arose like some battle or war or skirmish, what if I lost my limbs? Then I would have to live in a hospital where they would give me drugs and say that I couldn't ever regrow them back again? Well, that's a lie. There are infinite realities. So we can accomplish anything that we believe. And we're starting to do some really profound things. And this is a good segue into a next topic that I want to discuss regarding how I'm specifically intending and spending energy to unite the Rainbow Tribe. And that's what we're doing here in Sedona, Arizona. Sedona is a very mystical, magical place. And what I believe about this land is that it is a secret, ancient civilization mecca that used to be potentially even the home base for high vibration reptilian beings. And the reason I say that is because the landmarks here, the mesas and these red rocks that bubble up from the ground, they don't look like they're just rocks. They look like they were ancient statues that are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years old, that have gradually eroded due to the elements. And the things that are happening here, the way that we are unifying, it is the most rapid, exciting, uplifting, encouraging pace I have ever seen in my experience since awakening, even in regard to places like Mount Shasta. I haven't had the opportunity to go to Hawaii yet, or any other of these spiritual sites in South and Central America, or across the pond. But in regard to what I've experienced, both in person and in videos, watching what other people have been going through, we are really, really starting to walk the talk here in Sedona. And that's saying something. If anybody has ever been to Sedona, there can be an air of ego. There can be an air of, matrix level spirituality, let's say, where it's more about the money, it's more about the success and the image. But what I'm saying is right now, in this moment, that is all being transformed, because all of the galactic commanders and captains of our ships are starting to find each other again in this life. And I just want to do a quick shout out to the amazing, phenomenal, inspiring Zenka Caro of lightnet.org. She is doing some profound things with LightNet. They just did a spoon bending class the other day. I think it was this past Sunday, and they stopped time on a clock 5 times and got it on camera. They used their intention to stop a clock that nobody was touching. And that is the level of coherence and cohesion we're seeing between starseeds and lightworkers. And in a place like Sedona, where the energy is innately higher due to the magnetic frequencies, due to the quartz and the selenite frequencies in the earth and the soil here, there is a vortex spiral magnification of what is done here. And that's why, for example, I'm calling in that we are building a scientific laboratory in the city, or around the city at some point in the very near linear future. Why? Because based on unity theory, all scientific experiments that are performed here will be statistically, inevitably more successful and more rewarding. We will see greater results, and we will see faster results. Meaning, why wouldn't we make a lab here? It'd be kind of silly not to. And that's what Zenka's doing. With LightNet, she is not only working here in Sedona with locals and other starseeds that are extremely activated, but she is sending out her network, LightNet, the Starseed network, to the rest of the world. And she is inviting everyone onto her platform so that they can expand their consciousness. That's the entire point of LightNet. How can we connect with ETs? How can we channel? How can we lucid dream? How can we remote view? all of these things are topics that she has mentors teaching classes on in groups of 8. And it's a really exciting time because they have sign up available right now. And again, this is at lightnet.org. And I'm so blown away by her work and what she's doing. And I just want to throw this out there too, is that if you want to see what LightNet's potential is able to achieve, where it can go, I recommend, if you know somebody who maybe is an angel investor or something, have them look at LightNet, talk about it, go over the website, see if maybe there's some way that we can bring our millionaire luminaries to her aid, because she needs help manifesting this profound software, this network for us. Because what I see happening is, if we create the perfect Starseed network that has everything that we could ever need from any other platform within the matrix, then we can be the first exo matrix organization, meaning that we don't have to play by some arbitrary mind control government's rules. We can literally be sovereign beings within our own societies. And this is the next step for the Starseeds and Lightworkers of Earth. This is the Rainbow Tribe coming together. By creating this network, we establish our family. We get to see our brothers and sisters in their light, in their freedom of expression, their self-expression, in such a way where all is welcome, all is has an equal seat at the table. And the way that we interact with each other is based on vibration and unconditional love. So aside from that, there are people like Mark Z in Sedona, who is the head of Sedona Quantum Consciousness. So we actually just finished a profound group meditation with this really next gen technology, this vibrational technology called the biocharger. And we had a deep meditation this evening before I came online here. And he is doing some profound things as well. And what we are doing in this next month is we are unifying for a very special treat. And that is Conscious Life Expo Los Angeles 2023. 1 month from now, almost all of the starseeds in Sedona that know each other, that have implemented into each other's lives on at least some level, if not just as acquaintances, we are all showing up in full force as a family. We are going to be directing each other to, or directing the participants from our booths to each other's booths. We are going to promote each other. We are going to have community and brotherhood and sisterhood within the entire event. I'm just so excited because here we are. We're doing it. We are being it, actually, is what I should really say. And I just want to invite you all out to that event. It's going to be happening from the 10th through the 14th, I believe, in Los Angeles. I think it's relatively inexpensive to get into the expo, and then you pay depending on what speaker you want to go see. And I will be personally speaking on the 11th of February at 7 p.m. And if you need to find where I'm going to be speaking, you can just go to consciouslifeexpo.com, I believe it is. And all the details are there. And there's going to be some amazing speakers, from Sedona, from all over the world. And for me, this is going to be the mainstream debut of Unity Theory. This is when it goes viral. And that's what I'm calling in, because once that happens, we've won. That's it. If you give the world a scientific permission slip to believe in anything, wow. I'm just so excited.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, that sounds absolutely amazing. Well, I will be there, so I will be looking you up. I know Mary's going to be there, and Vivian, of course, will be there. Anyone else?
As well.
Pardon me?
I'll be speaking. I'm doing a lecture workshop. I'm on a panel on Sunday evening with the New Earth Consciousness. We have a booth. So there's going to be a lot going on at the Conscious Life Expo. And of course, Sheila will be there together. But yeah, you can look up on the schedule, find us, Isaac, myself, a lecture workshop. What I offer is completely free. There's no charge to come see me. So
that's beautiful.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And so, yeah, I'm going to be there just casually kind of talking with people about the Galactic Alliance and what we're trying to do, which, I love Zinka, love Zinka, love Zinka, love Zinka. I love everything she's doing. I told her, I said, I want to get in on one of the radio classes. I find that so fascinating where they have the walkie-talkies. They have multiple walkie-talkies and they tune them all to the same frequency. Some of them bring one thing in, some of them bring in another. And so anyway, I'm excited. Hope to get into some of her classes soon. But if you are looking for Community Light Net, is a great place to go. Also, don't forget about the Galactic Alliance. If you are not on our mailing list, please sign up. You can go to our website at thegalacticalliance.org. And, we would love to have you to join us at all of our online meetings. That way you get to ask your questions and talk with the speakers and share your stories as well. And then occasionally we have what's called the family reunion, where everybody just kind of gets together and they share their stories. And, it's kind of like open mic night. And so that's kind of fun. So we'll have to invite you back for that sometime too. But it's been so wonderful to have you here this evening. It has been absolutely, absolutely lovely. And I've enjoyed every word you've said. I've hung on every word that you've said, despite Willow and his madness in the background. He's my little 8-pound Havanese that's kind of like a bulldog. He's crazy sometimes, especially when the energy's high. But he loves all the energy too. And so if you're out there listening, please sign up to be on our mailing list. We don't want you to miss out. Also, go to Vivian's website. Do you want to share your website? And then Isaac, I'll have you to share yours again, because we want everyone to be able to reach out.
Yes, absolutely. My website is infinitehealingfromthestars.com. And just to remind everyone that each and every one of us has a very beautiful, unique purpose. Some may be more technology, others it's more consciousness, but it's the beauty of all of us coming together and seeing how we, pretty much bring uniqueness. Isaac, what is your website?
My website is thecrimsoneagle.com, like the symbol behind me. And I just wanted to say, you said something about open mic night, Sheila, and that reminded me is there's going to be a talent show at Conscious Life Expo. And I would love for all of you to come see me, because I'm going to be singing Dream On by Aerosmith, most likely. It may change, but I figured, why not? If there's an opportunity, let my Leo out a little bit. So
beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay, so Isaac, do you have any final closing words that you would like to leave some food for thought with people?
Sure. I want to reiterate to both you and Vivian, it's such a pleasure to know you and to see you in your fullness. And anytime that you ever want to do this, I'm always game. I love conversations like this. And for the audience, for those that are here participating, those watching live and those watching the replay, know that you are unconditionally loved. You are unconditionally supported. So it can't go wrong, because there are no wrong decisions. So why not follow your heart, follow your excitement, so that you can reconnect with your full potential self. I love you all unconditionally, and may you have a wonderful night.
Beautiful.
Love you back. Thank you for spreading such love and light. You. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac.
So much.
Take care, everybody.
Okay, Vivian, do you have anything that you would like to share?
It's just very inspiring to be in the presence of different, what I call different generational starseed who have come back to the planet at different timelines. Like Isaac is from a little different generations, Sheila and I and everyone on this call on the planet, it is truly time to unite all generational star seeds. And this is the beyond age or your upbringing, or, in my time, things were the way they were. We are moving beyond all of it, and we are shifting into a way of relating to one another that is based on, I recognize your soul and there's a soul recognition in me. And that's why one of the things that I know to my collective we want to bring is the reunion of all the star seeds throughout all the generational, depending on what timeline you came back to the planet. And it's beautiful to see that, because I see it every day. I work with people who are 78, 82 years old, others are 30, and then I can work with a child that is 8 years old, but I can feel a soul calling. There's a communality that brings us together. And that's just a little layer I wanted to bring tonight. And I'm so honored to be here. Of course, always a joy to be in your presence, Sheila.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you so much for being here, and thank all of you for being here and supporting the Galactic Alliance. I do want to reiterate, Zinka does have another class that's getting ready to start, so please visit LightNet. We also have the Ancient Galactic Wisdom Conference coming up on Portal to Ascension at the end of the month on the 27th and 28th of January. So please visit the portaltoascension.org and register for that. We're only charging $55 for the 2 days. And so it is super affordable that anybody that wants to come will be able to come. If you can't come, let us know. And if you want to be there, we'll make sure that you're able to be there. And then again, on the 21st, we also have Jenny G, who is going to be live on the Conscious Awakening Network. She's going to be sharing her predictions about 2023. And if you plan to come, make sure that you have your birthday, the time that you were born, the location that you were born, and it's just open field. So we hope that you will be joining us. And until we are back together again next time, namaste and much love, everyone. Good
Much love.
evening, and